That works. Board of Aldermen on this day, February 20th, 1996. Everybody rise, pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody on the Access Channel tonight that's watching us from home. We are going to do something a little different tonight in that the Rosemary is asked when we go outside the rail. Normally it's for items that are not on the agenda. These are not, but to present right up front an educational, informational issue on election matters. We've also had a request this evening from Ron Graves, our treasurer, to address the city voters on purchasing agent and also some tax delinquency issues that we thought it'd be nice to do it right up front so everybody that's watching can hear it firsthand and before we get into the regular meeting. We have a couple, at least one key committee report tonight on an amended sign ordinance that's going to be coming before us, and some recommendations that are going into committee that will not be discussed, but will be referred to committees such as the recreation issue. We are also going to, at the end of this meeting, if the board agrees, go into an executive session to discuss a personnel matter that's coming out of general committee that will be saved at the end, so you won't have to break in about probably 20 minutes and then come back. So if the board agrees, we'll do that at the end of the meeting. It's a request from the fire department and it's coming through general committee. With that, let's move on to the agenda and start off with accepting the minutes of previous meetings. The first one is January 29th, 1996, public hearing on a charter amendment proposal.
Move for the approval. Second.
Any debate? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Second minutes to be approved is February 5th, public hearing on a charter amendment proposal.
Move for the approval.
Second.
Any debate? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And lastly, February 5th, our regular board meeting.
Move for the approval.
Second.
Any debate? Any errors or omissions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are accepted. Now, first I'd like to give, I don't see anyone here but Ron or Rosemary, that's going to address the board from outside the rail, so let's move in and give Rosemary. She also is on your desk giving us an idea of what she's going to be talking about, but I'd like at this time to have Rosemary read this and explain to the voters what's going to be coming up on our election day on March 5th. Rosemary?
Okay, on March 5th, we're going to be conducting two separate elections at the same time at the same places. The first will be the annual city election to elect aldermen, school commissioners, ward officers, and to vote on local questions. The second is the presidential primary election. This is to select candidates for each of the three major political parties, Democrat, Liberty Union, and Republican. There will be two separate ballots, a white ballot for the local election and blue ballots for the presidential primary. Apparently there's some concern that the primary is going to keep people from coming to vote in their local elections because they do have to state a party preference to get a primary ballot. To vote in the primary, you'll have to declare which party you wish to vote, and your choice will be recorded on the voter checklist. All voters will receive the white ballot, which is the city ballot. You are not required to vote in the primary. You can go to the polls and vote only in your local election if that is what you desire to do. You can get an absentee ballot for your local election only. Vermont, Maine, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts will all be conducting primaries on that day for president. This is to elect or to nominate the candidates to be elected president in the November general election. In that election, you will not have to state a party preference, but to vote in the primary, you will. Apparently, this is causing a lot of confusion among the voters. Also, Our Ward 4 voters that used to vote at Lincoln School will now be voting at Calvary Bible Church. The registration for voters to vote in this election is 12 noon next Saturday, and my office will be open from 10 till noon on that day. If you'd like to vote by absentee ballot, please call the clerk's office. Schools will be open on Election Day, which is unusual in March. If your polling place is at a school, please plan to avoid the rush hours when people are dropping off and picking up their children. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions before we move on? Thank you very much, Rosemary. City Treasurer Ron Graves, you've asked for some time to present a couple issues to us.
I have two issues, if I may, and I apologize for not putting them on the agenda, but there are things that came up that I thought were best to deal with outside the rail. One is already in your committee, and I'll start with that, and that's on the purchasing agent. I believe Alderman Davis has passed around to you copies of a draft proposal for request for proposals on a purchasing agent. This is an initial draft that was done up by myself in my office. We have a gentleman by the name of Bill Grabo, who's the purchasing agent for CVPS, who's been our consultant on this project. The reason this is marked draft is it is just mine. He is bringing in his own request for proposal. We're going to merge them together to put out. As you can see, it's our intent is to do the contract in the month of April. By charter, any professional services contract has to be approved by the Board of Aldermen. It's our intent to ask you to approve it on the 18th of March. We hope to present to you a final draft of this proposal at your meeting of March 4th. And ask you for approval to solicit proposals. It's called for under the charter for professional services contract. This has been in committee some time. We promised Alderman Davis that we would have it out by March. Due to circumstances beyond our control, we're getting it to you tonight. It's not in this final program, and I apologize for that. But it's certainly our intent is to do this and get it done. The cost of this is to be shared by the school department. This would need to be approved by the Board of School Commissioners. I tried to contact the business office over there today and Dr. Brothers to make sure that they were aware of this. It was coming to you tonight. I did not contact them, but I will contact them tomorrow. They certainly will have time to input in as much as they would not looking to have this awarded by March 18th. Second item is here are delinquent taxes. I'll be brief as much as I can on this. I'm just going to read a little report that I put together as far as some statistics and stuff. This report is not to defend myself or my office. This is to share information, provide information to the Board of Aldermen. I think it's appropriate to discuss and share information with the Board of Aldermen as to the status of delinquent taxes. As you know, the annual report is out. It contains a lengthy list of delinquent taxpayers. I'm sure you are getting questions as members of the Board of Aldermen as to the delinquent taxpayers, as well as I am, and as to the length of the list. I'm here to ensure you that we are collecting delinquent taxes. There are policies and procedures in place to do that, and we are doing it. So far this year, in fiscal year 96, we have collected $532,167 from delinquent taxes since July 1. We have 44 taxpayers who are on payment plans whose total delinquencies exceed $304,000. Payments under those payment plans range anywhere from $25 a month as a low to $1,600 a month. That payment plan is under a policy that was approved by this Board of Aldermen not to exceed a 24-month period that I asked this board to pass back in 1993 when we took over the collection of delinquent taxes in my office. Delinquent taxes, we have right now 34 properties going to tax sales that are being dispersed to outside legal counsel to take care of. And the reason for outside legal counsel is we cannot use in-house, be it the city attorney's office, because we cannot recover those costs if we use the city attorney's office. Or by going to outside counsel, we can. So in the past, we have dispersed them outside, and we're going to continue to do so. Like I said, we have 32 properties going on for tax sale. Total delinquency on those 32 properties are $181,000. So in essence, this year, we are collecting close to $1 million in delinquent taxes. Every single year, probably for the last 5 years, I went back 5 years, consistently in May, and that's when taxes become delinquent, roughly over $825,000 becomes delinquent any given year. It's a vicious cycle. You go from a high from $1.7 million, you collect $900,000, bring it down to $800,000, another $800,000 goes over delinquent. It's an ongoing battle. We're concerned, everybody should be concerned about it. It's hard for the taxpayers, you know, when they're frustrated, they see the lists that are in the annual reports, and you couple it with a headline in the Rutland Herald of borrowing $1 million, it only adds insult to injury. We are aggressive. I'm here to pass on information to all of you, because I'm sure you are getting questions. And probably this should have been done earlier. It should be an annual event for the Board of Aldermen to pass on information. We give out notices on a quarterly basis, water, sewer, taxes. Interest accrues 1% a month. Alderman Lewis was in the office the other day talking about this. And the biggest issue is we talk about delinquent taxes. What isn't published is delinquent water and sewer accounts. It's a large dollar amount. We tend to lose sight of that. And I'll be the first one to admit it, we've lost sight of it in our office. We've become very aggressive as far as water and sewer payments because of the dollars that are there. Water and sewer is collected the same way as you collect taxes by statute. You have the same remedies, the same procedures in order to collect that. The one item that is, I'm not going to say it's discouraging to me, but we've tested it out of our office in the past. I haven't tested it recently. Residential property, as far as delinquent water, has been a no-no. You cannot shut off the water. It becomes a public health problem. Obviously, commercial, retail properties like that, we certainly can shut off water and collect them for non-payment. Residential properties is a little bit harder. It seems that when you send out notices on a quarterly basis, somebody gets a notice, yeah, okay, I owe it, they throw it away. You mention tax sale, they respond. That's been aggressive. We finally have learned ourselves through the last couple of years on our collection process how to get people to respond. Believe it, and I'm a firm believer, there are people out there in this community who are delinquent in their water and sewer and in real estate taxes beyond their control. Either through the late 1880s and the early 90s, they've lost their jobs, they've been laid off, they've run into difficult times. Those people we want to work with. They know they're delinquent, they want to pay their taxes, circumstances have just put them in a position that they're in. We will work with them. We try to educate them as far as go to the banks, try to refinance. We charge 12% interest. That's what the interest is, 1% a month. You people know what interest rates are at the banks today. You can go over and get loans or refinance and you're looking at under 5 or under 7 anyways. It's a lot cheaper. We educate that. We are working with the banks. It's amazing to me over the last couple of years dealing with this, how many people are not familiar with, nor do they apply for the Vermont Homeowners Rebate Program. You don't have to pay your taxes in order to get a rebate from the state of Vermont. You can still file for a rebate. The state will send a check directly to the city to be applied to your delinquent taxes. I'm amazed at the number of people that don't file for that because they say, well, I didn't pay my taxes. They have to meet the requirements of it, obviously, because of the income and everything else. But I am astounded at the number of people that do not are aware of that program. The state is basically saying if your income is under $45,000 a year, you're only going to pay 5% of your income in property tax. Nice program. Unfortunately, the state over the last couple of years has funded it to the level that they should have. But I am amazed at the number of people that are not aware of that program. And that's the first thing when somebody comes in to talk to us, when we do get a letter, then we're going to put the property on the tax sale. If they do respond, we bring them in, we talk to them. We try to get an understanding of what's going on, what they can do, what they cannot do as far as payments. Like I said, we try to structure it into that 24-month policy that we had you people pass a couple of years ago. And we try to work with them. I personally believe that we're better off working with them than enforcing the tax sale. Now, there are people in the community, as you can see from some of those lists, without mentioning their names, that don't pay taxes. There's some of those people out there. That's a given. And you're going to find that anywhere. Those people, we go after aggressively. We go after everybody aggressively. But I think you have to understand and listen to the circumstances that are going on. And I think most of the people that I'm dealing with now have had problems in the past, they're aware of their tax obligation, and are willing to work it out. And we'll continue to work with them. I think, by showing that we've at least got committed through 10 months, or I take it back, 8 months of this year, over $1 million in delinquent taxes. You had $1.7 million in delinquent taxes as of June 30, 1995. And my projections for delinquencies this year, it'll be the same number. You'll be between $800,000 and $850,000 going delinquent come May. It's a vicious circle, and you've got to look at circumstances and see what happens. But I'm here to pass on information to you, so if you get questions, you get answers from your constituencies out there, and everybody does. You see that list that's published every single year. Why am I paying my taxes? Why are you borrowing money? Look at the list of people that are out there that are delinquent. Why aren't you going after them? I'm here to say we are going after them. There's going to be some of them we work with, some we don't work with, and we'll be aggressive. Any questions?
Have you been aggressive? You say we will be aggressive.
I think we have been, John.
How are you being aggressive?
Like I said, I'm not here to defend my office or me here.
No, I'm just asking you. You said you thought you were being aggressive. So when people say, are they being aggressive? What am I going to say? Yeah, and then when they say to me, how? That's what I'm asking.
I put up 44 properties for tax sale last year alone. Okay? Last year's delinquency exceeded over $1 million that we collected in our office. Real estate taxes alone. Like I said earlier, right now, I have 32 additional properties going up for tax sale.
How many were sold?
How many were sold? I have
How many paid out?
4 right now that are in the year of redemption that come due. 3 of them come due in the month of April, and the other one comes due in July.
They have a year to...
They have a year to redeem by statute.
But out of the 44, 40 of them came forward?
No, the city bought them, and either the banks or their lending institutions, in order to protect their interest in the property, paid it off after the sale. All 44 properties went to tax sale.
Bill, did you have a question?
Yes, I just, maybe we can be proactive here, because it seems like it's a big nut each quarter. Can we break that down to 12 months? I mean, monthly payments? Maybe if it's a routine thing with some of these people that had the option. How much
Do you
work
say
is
the
that?
collection
Collection
process?
How much work is that for you folks? Because I know the banks are doing that with some of the new mortgages coming through, the taxes to roll into the mortgage payment. You get a check every month automatically, or the bank pays you quarterly, whatever it is.
I haven't done any analysis on that, Bill. I'll be glad to try to work it out. I don't know of any community in the state that allows it. And I'm not sure off the top of my head, and I'll defer to Chris and Frank as far as former city attorney, whether the statute even allows it. I know they allow a quarterly or annual, but I don't know if the statute allows a monthly payment, okay? Whether that would need to have legislative approval in order to do something like that. I'm not sure, Bill.
I was just thinking, it's a lot easier looking at $75 every month than $500 every quarter. I mean, just, you know.
Well, I'm a proponent of the quarterly payment. We did some studies a year ago, then at one time, then Alderman Keefe, who's now your city assessor, asked that we looked at a discount program to collect taxes and provide a discount. Statute allows a discount, but it also provides for an annual payment. I'm certainly a proponent of quarterly installments. I mean, we have people that can't pay quarterly installments. To go back to an annual payment, I think would be devastating. And I think at that time, if I remember the numbers correctly, in order to provide that discount, what the interest rate had to be for us to earn to offset the discount we were asking for was somewhere at that time 8 to 10%, and people certainly know that you can't earn 8 to 10% on your money today in the financial market. That was quite a few years ago. When we looked, like I said, when then very key with all of them, we did that study. Very good.
Wendy?
No, can I just
Yep.
talk to Alderman Casrio again? Like I said, John, it's a fine line. It really is. I mean, we go after people. I could sit downstairs and be a real hard individual and say we don't get into any agreements and say we're just going to put your property up for sale. But it's a balancing act. I think you have to work with people and deal with people, understand the circumstances. If nobody responds to us, yeah, we're hard.
That's the one
We
I'm asking
put
about.
it up for tax sale. If we don't get an answer from somebody, it's gone. But if somebody takes the time, they know they're delinquent, they know they want to meet their obligations and their responsibilities. Once we understand the circumstances, we try to educate them, we will work with them.
And this board has done the same thing.
Very true.
The exact same thing.
And that's what you have to
Specific
do.
cases.
That's right.
But I'm talking about the hardcores.
Yes. If you get somebody that doesn't respond, John, they're on the list, they're gone. And that's just the nature of business, that's all. And quite honestly, if I got people who are under the payment agreements and they don't make the payments, they're gone. We tell them that right up front.
See, also a lot of those are some of them like personal property that can't be
Personal
collected.
property.
Suffers, say I had a business and I went out and gone somewhere else.
That's the most difficult thing to collect. And I'll tell you the reason why. And Alderman Wilton provided to me, there was a listing that came through that she got through her business, where there is a state law that's being proposed now to treat personal property taxes the same as real estate taxes in perfecting the lien. Right now, real estate property is an automatic lien. Somebody goes delinquent, it's an automatic lien of the property. Personal property is not. We have to perfect the lien. And that's the process to perfect the lien for personal property is I would notify the board. I have to contact every lien holder that individual has that I can find, then get the board to perfect the lien and do it. But even then, the lien under statute is only 2 years, period. Real estate lien is 15 years. There is, like I said to Alderman Wilton, she brought it to my attention, there's a House bill, right here, I know what brought it with me, that being taken up now, House Bill 259. And that's going to treat personal property the same as real estate with a proviso that if any personal property is transferred within the year, they're going to treat it similar to mobile homes where they have to come in and sign off in the clerk's office that the taxes have been paid on the personal property. That's beautiful. That's ideal. Because that's one of the worst taxes that we have in collecting. If you look at the city report, where you end up with the W's or the Z's, everything after that, it starts over with the A's, that's all personal property. And that's the lengthiest part of your list in the annual report.
Where you sit on there for 8, 9, 10 years.
Sure.
It's really the same amount.
2 years, it's gone. I'll be very honest, John, through the auditing process, every year, we've been writing that off. Because quite honestly, anything over 2 years old, we can't collect. I'd like to see this bill passed. And I've written a letter to the legislature encouraging them to pass that. Because it does treat it the same, and it provides, because you always get caught on personal property when a business sells out. Who's got the ownership? Does the bank have the owner? Did they buy the personal property? Is it abandoned? That's a difficult task, especially when it goes delinquent. It really is. This one, I think, is a cure-all. I think it's a nice piece of legislation. I'd like to see passed.
Wendy, and then Bob.
Kind of stole my comment, my question with that House bill. How can we help get this some attention in Montpelier?
I think it's a matter of, like I said...
Everybody call up the phone?
This is in the House and Ways and Means Committee. That's where it is. By contacting the Sergeant at Arms, contacting your representative, that you support this.
What if we
newspaper.
Letters, we all signed it and gave all of our representatives.
I'd be glad to get something for your next meeting, a resolution that you would, if you wouldn't mind supporting and send it to the legislature.
Is that too late? We're crossed over.
I can find out. Crossover is this Friday. To find out where the status of it is. It may be too late.
I think it's okay because it's a money bill. Any money bill's no
I was
problem.
saying, if we were all right with everybody, if Ron drafted a letter and we could stop by his office to review it and sign it if we felt so inclined, and then we could get it up this week. And that would be possible.
I'd be glad to do that. Like I said, I've already sent a letter supporting it.
And I can hand carry it, so I'll make sure it gets there.
I mean, I've been preaching this to our legislative delegates for quite a few years, that it's got to be changed as far as personal property. Anybody new who goes up there, I certainly tell them every year, at least get the opportunity to tell them. And I think this one is a few off.
Do we need a motion?
I move that Treasurer Graves draft the letter in support of House Bill 259, and that the board make it at their convenience to go down and sign the letter before Thursday this week.
I'll second it.
Any discussion, debate? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
The only, David, I got one, if I may. I want to thank Alderman Davis for bringing this to my attention as far as you people are getting questions, and as far as delinquent taxes, and it's certainly with her impetus that I'm here this evening. Alderman Lawrence was in the office asking the same question. I think it's important. Sometimes we sit downstairs and we don't hear from people. I mean, I hear when people come in and paying their taxes and they're complaining about that list, believe me, and I get it firsthand. But I tend to forget, you people are getting those questions, so I think it was appropriate tonight to have this session, and I want to thank Alderman Davis for bringing it to my attention, and I think Alderman Lawrence, you were inquiring about this, and you get questions, we're not afraid to answer them. We'll put the cards on the table. We're not perfect, but we do our damn best.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Other questions before? Bob, you had your hand up. Did your question?
Well, what does the equipment tax, inventory tax bring in?
Well, what, 1.2 million?
1.2?
Yes.
A couple of packets ago.
Well, that's almost, what, that's 10%. Roughly of the total
One
tax.
cent raise is just over 68,000, so if you go 10 cents, it's going to be 680, so you're talking 20 cents on the grand one.
About 20 cents.
Okay, it's quick math, and it may not be accurate.
It's a major hit. Bill?
For the folks at home, could you just go through the tax lien and tax sale? What the procedure is, just a short 2-minute. I think a lot of people don't understand that we're under some aggravation with statute. We have to follow statute, state statute when we do a tax sale.
We notify the people initially. We do it by quarterly report as far as the delinquency. Then we send out a letter telling them they're delinquent, we haven't heard from them. We don't hear from them, the property is going up for tax sale. That kicks in state statute and the procedure that you have to follow underneath that. We hire an outside counsel to draw up the notice of sale. That notice of sale has to be advertised. At the same time, you have to notify each and every lien holder that you can find. You basically do a search of the property. You have to notify all the lien holders by certified mail. You have to advertise, I can't remember the number of days, a certain number of days prior to the sale. You can hold your sale. Under the sale, it's recoverable as far as any of your advertising costs, your preparation of the tax sale, obviously your delinquent taxes and interest that accrued up to the date, and your legal fees. And that's why we farm them out. If they were done in-house, we cannot recover those costs as far as the city attorney. Once we go to tax sale, say nobody bids it off, and say either a financial institution or the individual pays out the tax. The city bids it off in order to protect its interest. That process calls, I drop a letter, I take it to the mayor and ask the mayor to bid it off in order to protect the bid process on the tax sale. Once it goes to sale, they have 12 months to redeem the property, to make it whole. During that period of time, the interest accrues again at 1% a month, or 12% a year,
Plus all the expenses.
plus all the expenses.
Thank you.
Bob?
Ron, are those costs of going through the tax sale, are they passed on to the property owner? Huh?
They are all recoverable.
They're all recoverable?
Correct,
I thought so.
by statute.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much, Ron.
Thank you.
Appreciate the
Again, I
update.
want to thank the board.
Thank you.
Yes, Elizabeth Davis.
In regards to the purchase made question, I have a motion. Do I need to suspend the rules to do that as long as it was active in committee at one time?
What do you think? Yeah,
And I'll move to
let's
suspend the rules.
Second.
debate. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sharon?
I just would like to refer the draft of the request for proposal for purchasing analysis to the Board of School Commissioners and back to the Charter and Ordinance Committee, waiting for final input with Mr. Grabo to kind of fine tune and then bring this issue back to the full board on March 4th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second. Questions?
Just one little question. Is it a 50/50 or a 40/60 or?
50/50.
It was the intent, I believe, that it was expressed to this board by Dr. Kelly, that the board of school commissioners, that it'll be on a 50/50 basis.
Okay. Any other questions? Debate? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, David.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to our agenda, communications from the mayor. There's a memo dated February 15th on the appointment to the Rutland Redevelopment Authority. Motion's been made and seconded to table. Any debate? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Standing committees, Charter and Ordinance, Signed Ordinance Amendment. Alderman Davis.
The Charter and Ordinance Committee met February 13th. The subject was a sign ordinance temporary sign. Over the course of about a month, the Charter and Ordinance Committee has met approximately 3 times with area businessmen regarding the temporary sign portion of the sign ordinance. A committee of businessmen was formed to discuss the issue and bring back suggestions for amendments. After discussion, the Charter and Ordinance Committee recommends the following amendments. First, to section 1402, the words pennant and fluttering matter be removed from the sign definition. Second, section 1406, for a sign attached to a building, the total signage shall not exceed 1 square foot per linear foot of building frontage as facing a single public right-of-way. This was an issue in the Herald, that businesses may have more than one sign, but the total signage needs to be an amount that's added together and fits in that formula of 1 square foot per linear foot. Deleted was wording signs, building, door frames, etc., being in like harmony with each other. In section 1407, the addition was shopping plazas shall have no more than 2 temporary signs. And section 1408 removed section A and replaced it with allowing businesses to have 1 temporary sign per year with no permit requested, except for a business located on a corner which may have 2 temporary signs. If more temporary signs are requested by a business, then a variance must be applied for. The other changes related to banners. Each business shall be allowed no more than 2 4 by 10 foot banners for special events. Any business requesting a larger banner must obtain a variance. And I move for the amendments to the sign ordinance.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Questions and debate. Alderman Gilman.
The business people accepted this. This is their language.
Their amendments to the attorney ordinance language.
Okay.
Alderman Wilton.
Just a comment. I would like to commend Sharon and the business people who worked, and all the other members of Charter Ordinance who worked together to find the amendments and find common ground and change it so it works for everybody.
Anybody happy, Sheriff?
I don't know. But the people that participated were.
Alderman Gillum and then Alderman Stafford.
People need to understand why this is happening. This is part of the On Track in Rutland, the project that we started 10 years ago or 8 years ago. And this is the follow-up to clean up the gateways coming into the city. And this is part of that process. And I just want people to know this just didn't come out of thin air. I mean, there was a process to get there. I'm very pleased in how the outcome here, and I should continue.
Alderman Stafford.
Sharon, this takes care of the amendment. This is a up-to-date copy.
Up to date.
That's right.
That,
What I wanted.
yes, that Rosemary put on your desk.
Yes.
It'll be an up-to-date copy.
Any other questions on the motion or the amendments on the floor? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries.
Two more motions.
Yep.
I move to authorize the city clerk to publish the notice in lieu of the entire ordinance.
Motion been made and second. Any debate? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
And my last motion is I move the implementation date for enforcement of the temporary sign segment of this ordinance be stayed till April 1st, 1996. And the reason of that is routinely we have, when we've made amendments, had an opportunity to get them out to all the businesses, have them have a chance to read them, go to Jim Simons, the building and zoning inspector, with any questions, so it's understood, so that process can occur prior to April 1st, and then the entire ordinance will be up and running in effect.
Any debate? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is that it, Sharon?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Alderman Clifford.
Information only from DPW. We had a meeting on February 15th at 5:30 in the Lamontagne Room. Members present were Alderman Stafford, Alderman Patelski, and myself, and also City Attorney Brislin, City Engineer Shelby, and Commissioner Connor. We discussed the water distribution regulations, and quite simply, upon review, the committee agrees with the policies and suggests that if anyone has any questions regarding the policy, that they forward those questions to Commissioner Connor. The other thing, there's two memorandums at the time at the meeting that Warren wanted to have put into DPW committee. And at this time, I'd like to refer the memorandums regarding water bill adjustments and standby water to the Public Works Committee.
Motion been made and second to refer to committee. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Frank?
Mr. President, I know that you've already announced that there'll be an executive session, but I think it's appropriate for me to give the General Committee report at this time.
Okay.
On Thursday, February 15th, the General Committee met. Attending were Alderman Wilton, Grusso, and myself. Also in attendance were the fire department officers, who were represented by Attorney John Canny. We spent several hours and we reviewed the proposal that the fire officers had made at a prior meeting, and that was to place them in the city's salary step schedule. For those of you that are not intimately familiar with it, it's a schedule that runs through step 18 and accommodates the various employees of the city who are not governed by a union contract. And essentially, different jobs are placed in the step system at one place or another, and the board has done that over the years, depending on what the job may be. There are then three categories or levels in each step. The starting employee, of course, is at the starting level. The next year, that person, if they do their job, gets to the standard level, and then finally in the third year they get to their maximum level, assuming that they move on to that far. Once they've reached the maximum level, there are no further movements in those steps, and they would then receive increases only if there were general increases passed for all employees, non-union employees in the city.
The fire officers asked that they be placed in this step system, telling us that they felt that not being in a step system was a disadvantage to them, and pointing out to us that they were the only non-union employees who were not in the step system. Specifically, they asked that lieutenants be placed at step 11, captains at step 12, and assistant chiefs at step 13. For your information, Chief Lloyd is at step 15, which is one step below the police department chief, and if we were to try to compare these officers with police officers, they likewise would be approximately one step below their counterpart. That's not a comparison that I necessarily want to draw, but that's the way it was presented. After we had much discussion about this, particularly discussion about the cost and the implementation, understanding that the fire officers were requesting that this be implemented over a 2-year period at first, and then later amending that to propose a implementation over a 3-year period, we felt that it was not possible for us to come to this board with a recommendation as to what to do. But we did feel that it was necessary for the board to go further with it. At the request of the firefighters, therefore, we're asking for the executive session. For purposes of this report, it should be noted that the committee voted to report and refer this matter back to the full board without a recommendation.
So is there a motion to accept the committee's report?
I don't think it's necessary. It's for information, and at the appropriate time, we'll seek the executive session to discuss personnel and salary matters.
Okay, thank you for your report, Frank.
Thank you.
Alderman Davis, you had a public safety?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Public Safety Committee met February 15th. Members present were Alderman Casarino, Loris, and Davis. Other present were Tom Lindsay and Evelyn Bailey for E911, Chief Holmes, Chief Lloyd, and Ira Earl. The subject was renaming of city streets, dealing with the enhanced 911 issue. The committee and other city officials were concerned that renaming like streets would cause more confusion to emergency responders than it would to leave like-named streets as is. Evelyn Bailey related the city could apply for grandfathering of streets, and the case would have to be pleaded to the 911 board, who makes the final decision. A copy of the questions needed to be answered was given to the committee and passed to the city clerk. My motion is I move the questionnaire be referred to the Board of Highway Commissioners for the issue of grandfathering street names, and that the renumbering issue of houses be referred to the city assessor's office.
Any questions or debate on the motion on the floor?
Does everybody understand what the purpose is for the, I think most of the emergency responders, Chief Lloyd's being the fire department, Chief Holmes the police, and Jim Fingers from the regional ambulance felt that most of our employees who are our emergency responders are homegrown, so to speak, and know the difference between Park Street, Park Court, and Park Avenue, and felt that if we could apply for grandfathering, that it would just be a lot easier for the folks who live there, for the post office, et cetera, for the process that needs to go through. Some of the streets do need to be renumbered because we have dead-ended some streets, and the dead-end numbers start at 1 instead of vice versa. So the city assessor's office will be kind of doing a study to see what streets will need to be renumbered. The people that live there will be well notified. They will also be taking care of the post office issue for that, et cetera, to get that information out. Hopefully that won't affect a lot of streets, but it will do a few. The grandfathering, as we know, needs to be applied for by the Board of Highway Commissioners because they can only rename streets. And I didn't get the impression that we might be too successful, but they couldn't really give us a real answer as to why we couldn't be real successful. But it's a process we need to occur, and a process that needs to be completed by April 1st. They need to have it for their board meeting by April 9th.
Okay. Alderman Casarino.
I think an interesting point that was made that the 911 people told us that if it was grandfathered, that they would have to be relieved from any liability.
Right.
So The funny thing that the chief asked was, basically, we're picking up the liability now. And he was saying, if it isn't grandfathered, and there's a mistake because somebody thinks they're going to, forgets that they're no longer Park Street or something else, will they pick up the liability? And he said, absolutely not. So I just thought it was sort of ironic.
It is ironic.
Yes.
Yep. Any other Alderman Zatowski?
This, although it's somewhat humorous in a way, thinking about renaming streets that have had their names for many years, it becomes a very strong economic question too, and I think that was perhaps one of the major concerns. Businesses, for example, that may be located in a certain place would suddenly have to change maybe their signs, maybe their name, certainly their letterheads and their advertising. And there certainly isn't any money available to help these businesses do that. So this grandfathering is a pretty important issue.
Any other comment? Motion's on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Any other standing committee reports? Moving on to select committee reports. Any select committee reports this evening? Alderman Gillum.
Transportation. I have some good news from the State House for folks who don't know what's happening up there. The House Transportation Committee has passed a 1997 budget. In that budget is the Cogan Air, $300,000 to keep Cogan Air going. Rail infrastructure, they added another $2 million on top of the governor's recommend, which is $740,000 going to the Amtrak to Rutland. But there is a little catch. The problem is we need to get a waiver from DC because the ICE-T funds that come for the commuter rail in Burlington, you can't use any of those funds for Amtrak. So that's the problem. So we need to get a waiver because we want to use some of those funds to update the track from here to Burlington also, which is included in the commuter rail package, but we want to use some of that money and shift it over to the upgrade of the track from Whitehall to Rutland. So the door has opened, the opportunity is here. What I want to do is put in committee, a community development committee, come up with a resolution in committee next week so we can have it for March, no calendar there, but March 4th, and bring it up to the State House that we want to endorse this project and get it going a little bit sooner than we expected. Plus what's on the table is now there's talk in the State House that the Middlebury people want to extend that service down to Rutland next summer. And we're not positioned yet to handle that passenger service, so we need to get our little tails in gear to accommodate that package for downtown. Also, the good news for the town highways, they've added another $1 million on top of the governor's recommend. They're going to pave 109 miles more than what the governor recommends. They're going to fix 20 more bridges and bridge projects. They're adding another $400,000. The town 2-to-1 match has been added, some money, $500,000. The bridge and culverts is $1 million. The whole concept behind this is the committee feels that we're collecting transportation funds, but we've been held up in engineering and design and construction scoping. And what they've done is passed almost $2 million to kind of break that deadlock and get some projects done and completed. That's why they're spending more money, and they're using some of the reserves from the Transportation Reserve Fund to help get that project moving along. And I think that's great news for the towns. That's more money for the city.
How much we get?
I don't know what the percentages are, but there's more money going in the formula. That means we get a little bit more money proportionately to the population is how it all works. So instead of getting $300,000 in our budget, we're probably going to get maybe another $20,000, maybe, according to whatever how the formula works. But that's $20,000 we haven't got now. So that's a few extra roads being paid. So I think that's good news. Problem is, we need to go through the Appropriations Committee next. And folks, you need to pick your phone up and call your representatives on that committee and say, hey, Rutland needs a good shake here, at least the west side of the state. And this is very important. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here for the west side of the state, which is quite overdue at the moment. And that's all I have at the moment. Oh, excuse me, the other item, what I want to do is put that in committee, as a motion, put that in committee, come up with a resolution for next meeting.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any debate on the motion?
That's Community development.
Let's say community development, what do you think? Yeah, community development.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
There's also some other concern on the EIS study going on with the bypass. Rumors have it that we might come up with a recommendation. We're supposed to come up with 5 recommendations, and they're probably going to come out strong no bill. And I don't think that's acceptable to the city's position. I think we really need to know the real numbers, what it's going to cost to do these other bypasses, if we ever do a bypass. But we need to know once and for all what the real numbers are going to be and make that presentation. I don't want to hear, when this thing is all done, no bill. I want a real document of what it's going to cost to do the contour or the west side or going up towards Mendon. We really need to know these numbers so we have the information. And I think this board needs to get involved in this process and make sure that document does state that information so we can make a decision once and for all, what's the best program for the city. And I'd like to move that into intermunicipal.
Second.
Any debate? All in favor of the motion on the floor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Is that it, Bill?
That's it.
Any other select committee reports? Moving on the agenda then. Petition, letters, communication, a letter from the Rutland Amateur Hockey Association to the Board of Aldermen.
Refer to Recreation Committee.
Any debate? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. McDonald's land use permit.
With receipt and file.
Motion been made and second. Any debate? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Marl's Act 250 jurisdiction opinion.
Receive and file, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any debate? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Request for tax abatement. Need to set up a hearing and set up a 3-person committee. Who remembers where we left off?
Down there.
It was,
I'm pretty sure it was over there.
I
have a really good memory.
seems like Alderman Clifford, I think, is going to chair this, and Loris and Gillum.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, I'll third.
Thanks, Paul.
We're getting over now. It goes down there.
I think we ought to write this down. The next one does go that way. All right.
Yeah.
Sharon's noting that. Okay. Good work, Sharon.
I got it.
Okay, so we need to set a date. Do we want to do this before our next meeting or the?
Is that too much for the night? Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Wow.
We're looking at a calendar.
Just before the regular meeting in the 18th.
The 18th.
You guys are the chairman.
Okay, the 18th at 7:15. Does that sound okay with everybody?
March 18th.
18th.
March 18th at 7:15.
That's right.
Sounds good.
Okay.
They have to say Patty's Day, I don't know. That's the holiday.
We just said it, right? Okay, moving on. Motion to go into Board of Control Commissioners. Motion been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Suspension decision for Pappy's.
Move to receive and place on file.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Receive and file. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Motion to go out of Control Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Reports and letters from department heads and officials, the Police Commission position on 991, Alderman Davis.
Move to receive and place on file. Receive and place on file.
Second, for debate.
Motion been made, receive and place on file. Then second, debate, Alderman Davis and then Alderman Grosso.
Doesn't matter, Sam.
I was just going to ask you, I didn't get a chance to call you. Someone, and they didn't tell me if I was to say who they were, said that this isn't an opposition or an endorsement or anything like that. It's just the commission wanted to meet with the Public Safety Committee, sit down with both and discuss it. That's what I was told.
The commission sat down with the Public Safety Committee. Dick Smith sat in Alderman Clifford's chair. The public
I
safety...
recall that.
Right.
Yeah.
The police commission was to be noticed by Chief Holmes that this meeting was occurring. Now, whether that did or did not occur, I haven't a clue. But I think the issue that I have with this letter is that the mayor appointed an E911 committee, which was you, Mr. Fingers, and Ira Earl, who took that process all the way down to here. We had several meetings which Chief Holmes was involved in. We discussed a lot of issues because we were learning at the same time. The decision was made to put it in the fire department for several reasons. They looked at this building, they looked at the fire station. They looked at the cost to this building, they looked at the cost of the fire station. They looked at the efficiency of the system here and up there. The people who were the engineers and Kirk Israel, who said, "You don't want me in this building," made it very clear to us that it was not going to be here. Dick Smith was part of that meeting. To my knowledge, Dick Smith is a member of the police commission. He was very involved in that discussion. There was a lot of issues that took place. Chief Holmes was not happy about it. That was understood. It was also discussed. It was also discussed to the point that a special committee was formed to deal with some of his problems, which is the mayor, the city treasurer, Rosemary, Ira, myself as public safety, and the two chiefs. I think a responsible approach went into making this decision. The recommendation came from the Public Safety Committee to the full board, which was endorsed. We also, at this point, the RFP is completed, and the contractors are out to bid. The issue is we receive and place this on file.
Alderman Caruso.
I'll support the motion to receive and file, Sharon. I think what I was told and everything was a pretty honest request and all, but the word reconsider the matter, I agree with you. We get a lot of work in that. I worked on it for a year and a half prior to public safety. You people had to come way up to speed on that thing because those were two trains coming 100 miles an hour at us. It's 911 and the public service answering point of the PSAP. So if it didn't have the word reconsidered, I wouldn't do it. But I agree with the motion to receive and file.
Alderman Cassarino.
Yeah, also, this wasn't an issue, like you said, we had to come way up to speed on it, but it wasn't haphazard. We got all the information we could, and like we said, we even went out and had an RFP and had somebody go out and check out all the buildings. So I think there's no need to reconsider this, and I think there's no way we can reconsider this at this time, and I don't think that we want to.
Any other questions or debate? Motion to receive and file is the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Request from Henry Brislin, Assistant City Attorney, for the mayor to sign a timber sale. It's number 14 in your packet.
Move to authorize the mayor to sign. Second.
Motion been made and second. Any debate? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. A letter from Leaf concerning recreation beneficiary in a will. Alderman Clifford.
Move to refer it to Recreation Committee.
Motion been made and second to refer the issue to Recreation Committee. Any debate?
Yes, and I will, we'll have a meeting regarding these, all three things referred tonight before the next regular board meeting and report out the next meeting.
Okay. Alderman Zankowski.
I just would request that perhaps City Attorney's Office get involved as well. And I say that only because it kind of jumps at me that the Recreation Department's a beneficiary. I'm not sure they're able to receive anything. The city perhaps is, but the City Attorney's Office can deal with that.
Okay. Alderman Caruso.
If Alderman Clifford could notify maybe the police department community policing program. I was told that there's a lot of meetings going on about youth centers and all, and it'd be nice to have them in there too. They're working with somebody, I don't know. You just let them know when the committee meeting is.
Is there a representative on that?
I'm not sure.
a community police officer was asking me about it today, if he would get it, know how to get notified about the meeting. I know. I haven't seen him in a while.
I'll ask Bob to come by.
Yeah, ask him. He'd like to be a part of that, he told me.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, the motion is on the floor to refer these to recreation. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, the motion carries. Wendy, did you have something you wanted to refer? Okay, unfinished, remember, we're going into executive session, but if we could just clear up a couple of these things. Any unfinished business that the board needs to take up? Alderman Davis.
Chris, if we call a charter and ordinance meeting for Monday, the 26th, are you ready with the civil criminal issue?
I'm not sure, but go ahead and call me.
Okay. Because that really shouldn't take very long. It's just to go through, Henry and Chris were going through marking the ordinance, deeming them criminal or civil, to the issue where they could be ticket writing, like Jim for housing violations, the officers at the fire station for regulations dealing with their department. And that's all in place other than just earmarking those ordinances. So I'd like to set the meeting for 5:15 on Monday, the 26th.
Okay, has everybody got that? Any new business before this board? Any resolutions? Okay, a motion is going to be in order to go into executive session. We're not sure how long it's going to take or whether or not the access channel will come back in at the end of the meeting, if we're going to have a motion or just information only. I'm not sure, Frank. Is there any light you could shed on this, or are we just going to wing it?
I don't know. It's certainly possible that the board will decide to take some action. In fact, I would encourage the board to take some action after the board's had an opportunity, but of course that would only be done in open session.
Okay, so just for the viewers watching, we're going to hopefully try to do this in 15 or 20 minutes and then come back in with a motion. So you want to hang in there. There needs to be an appropriate motion, though, made before we go into executive session. Frank, would you like to attempt?
Yes, I will. However, the city attorney brought to my attention some questions in his mind, so perhaps he can suggest whether or not this is appropriate.
What is appropriate for executive sessions would include contracts, labor relation agreements with employees, arbitration, mediation, grievances, civil actions, or prosecutions by the state with premature general public knowledge would clearly place the state, municipality, other public body, or person involved in a substantial disadvantage. The appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee. Discussion or consideration of records, if we're dealing with personnel records. So it would have to fit under contracts, potentially labor relations agreements with employees, although we aren't dealing with a union, we're dealing with a group of employees. So if the board feels comfortable that they are dealing with the contract or labor relations agreements with employees where premature general public knowledge would clearly place the state, municipality, or other public body or person involved at a substantial disadvantage, then an executive session would be appropriate.
Before I be comfortable making that motion, Mr. Chairman, I guess I'd like to hear from the attorney for the fire officers as to whether or not he is asking for the executive session and believes it fits within the statute.
John, would you give your name and address for the record? And
my name is John Canny. I represent the Rutland Fire Officers. We're hoping this evening to discuss in executive session with the Board of Aldermen issues regarding the contract negotiations and conditions of employment for the Rutland Fire Officers. We think that this information should be kept at executive session for the time being, then let the board deliberate, come out of executive session and make whatever decision it chooses. But we think we should be in executive session at this time.
The basis of that is contractual labor agreements, is that what you're saying, John?
That is correct, and labor negotiations as indicated in the sunshine.
Well, based upon that, and based upon the city attorney's interpretation of the, or reading of the statute to us, I would move to go into executive session to discuss issues of contract negotiations with the non-union fire officers, and I so move.
Second.
Motion been made and second. There's a question. Yes, Fred?
I would respectfully submit that this is not an appropriate matter for executive session. As far as I know, John, there's no specific contract on the table. This is not a union group. It's not a particular personnel issue being considered here. What we're talking about appears to be a matter of general city policy regarding how to handle this particular pay scale. The pay scale itself is a matter of public record that the firemen have asked to be put on. And if you do go into executive session to consider this, I would like my protest on the record.
It is noted for the record, Fred. The motion.
I don't think there's no second.
Second.
Motion is now seconded. Any debate? Alderman Zadowski.
I'd ask the city attorney to tell us what the penalties are.
Penalty enforcement section: a person who is a member of the public body and who knowingly and intentionally violates the provisions of this subchapter, or who knowingly and intentionally participates in a wrongful exclusion of any person or persons from any meeting for which provision is herein made, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor and shall be fined not more than $500.
Can I follow up, David? Just one other thing that I would like the board to think about is the question of whether premature public knowledge will damage the city. That's what you have to show here.
I'll point out it's where premature general public knowledge would clearly place the city or person involved at a substantial disadvantage. So it's not just the city, it's also the other people that are involved.
We have a motion on the floor. It's open.
Oh, Chris, how is that gonna, because of what we're gonna be talking about, or? How is it gonna, would you people that
We are planning to discuss with the Board of Aldermen the working conditions, the benefits that this group would like to have provided by the city, and all the other things that go on as being a city employee. They are not a union, they are a collective bargaining, they are an association of the 6 officers here. The fire department wouldn't, not the fire department, the firefighters, they were not allowed to be in the firefighters union. They are non-union employees, but I think they can form an association and come before you, and that's how we'll come to discuss those.
Would that jeopardize them if any of this is made public?
I think it is when you're talking about contract negotiations, and that's what we're doing. This is the same as if there was a bargaining session between the city and the union, and those certainly are not public knowledge and are not open to the public.
Alderman Clifford.
I think, due respect to you gentlemen, I think we should hear their case. I think they put in a lot of time and effort to come to this board, and it's well deserved, and I think we should hear them out. Whether or not we come to a decision or not, I think it's, I personally feel we're obligated to hear them out.
I don't have a problem with hearing them, I'm just wondering if we need to go into executive session to hear them.
Alderman Motion.
Do you know why we have to go into?
I respect their request. No, I probably don't, John, but I respect their request, and I stand by it.
Alderman Beauchamp.
I don't see why we need to go into executive session. From what I've heard so far, it sounds like it is, should be open to the public at this point in time.
Okay, the motion again is to go into executive session that's before us. Other debate before we vote on the motion? Other questions of the city attorney?
They're employees, right? We're talking about an employee matter. That falls under the jurisdiction of executive session, am I correct?
The section that I find to be applicable with the situation are contracts, labor relations agreements with employees, or premature general public knowledge.
Hey, they're employees like any other employee in the city. We give them the same rights.
The appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee.
Are we evaluating them? Is that it?
I think that's something that the board has to determine when they go into executive session, whether or not there's a appointment or the employment. Talk about the employment of a public officer or employee. Dealing with contractual negotiations, if you feel as though you are entering into contractual negotiations with a firefighter or officer.
I thought this was just a request from the officers coming in to the board.
Right.
Looking to be put on a pay scale, a step system. That is different than a contract. I don't have a problem with listening to them in either place. I just don't want to step into executive session and find out that we really don't belong there.
What happens if we do?
You're subject to the penalty provision that I cited.
No, but I mean, if we go into executive session and the discussion occurs and we feel that it wasn't a contractual issue, do we adjourn to executive session?
Yes.
Alderman Santowski.
Since Chris can't tell us that we're absolutely safe, and I'm not going to try to pin him down any further, I'm going to vote against going into executive session. I do want to hear these proposals discussed, and I'd rather take the chance of having it, I'd rather not take the chance, let me put it that way, of having it done in executive session at the risk of there being penalties, and I'd rather err on the side of public knowledge.
Would you like to withdraw your vote motion, Frank?
No.
Okay.
Frank, did you guys go into executive session when you had this in committee?
No, we didn't.
Did you consider going to executive session when you had it in committee? If members of the press were there, would you have considered going to executive session in committee?
There were members of the press at at least one of the meetings, perhaps two. They were not at the last meeting, but Fred Bever called me and I discussed freely with him what took place.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. We debated it. Does everybody feel comfortable in voting?
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote's been requested. I'll ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Clifford?
Yes.
Loris?
No.
Gillum?
No.
Caruso?
Yes.
Beauchamp?
No.
Casarino?
No.
Satelski?
No.
No.
Stafford?
No.
Wilton?
No.
Davis?
No.
Motion fails. Or 2 yes, 8 no. Alderman Santowski, would you like to?
Well, now that we're at the point where we're going to discuss it in open session, it's my understanding that that today Mr. Canny has prepared a sheet, information sheet for us, which indicates the salary levels at which these men would be placed under the proposal to put them in the salary schedule. You have that, John?
Yes.
try that.
What we have passed out are two items. One in the blocks, the fire department officer's proposal gives a comparison of salaries for this current fiscal year, 95-96, and brings it out 3 years. And I'll get that in a minute. The second sheet is the salary schedule dated July 1, 1995. And a bit of clarification, if you look starting down at grades 11 through 18, you'll see that the numbers are originally crossed off and new numbers are put in. What happened is at one point in time, there was a pay increase that did not get reflected in these higher grades. These numbers have been checked with the city treasurer's office, and the numbers as corrected are the accurate grade numbers as they currently exist. In 95-96, on the other form, you will see what these officers are currently being paid. We should note for you that in the parentheses after each officer's name, for instance, Chief Lloyd, he is paid on a grade 15. He is on grade 15. The officers that I represent, as far as we can tell, are the only city employees not covered by a union contract or not within the city step system. We have shown here their pay, which is based now on longevity and a pay increase above the firefighters' increase because of their particular rank. What we did for the year 96-97 is as follows. You will see, for instance, with Assistant Chief Hurley, his pay is based upon the standard rate for grade 13, adding into it the longevity that all non-union employees receive in the city through the city personnel manual, which is basically $12 for the first 10 years of service and then 50 cents per year thereafter. We did that for all of the officers. We did not touch Chief Lloyd's because he is already at grade 15. We did that for standard rate for officers Hurley, Lancourt, Gregorio, Dalto, and Walsh. Officers West and Mooney were put in at maximum grade because their pay would actually have decreased by a significant portion if it was computed on the standard level. We continued that process going through 97-98, adding only 50 cents per year to each employee. Again, that is based strictly on the longevity, assuming they have all worked another year, and that is based on their longevity and the city personnel manual for non-union employees. Finally, 3 years out, what we have done is now increased all of the officers to the maximum amount that they would be entitled to under the step system under their particular grade, and have made that calculation again, adding in longevity. As you can see from the percentages on the bottom, the actual percentage works out to 8%. Math and rounding out from year to year is rough, but it does come out to just about 8% increase from the 1995-96 level to get everyone into the step system through 1998-1999. Now, these ranks and grades were not picked out of the air besides just numbers. They do have what we feel to be a very rational basis. As I stated, Chief Lloyd is grade 15, and Chief Holmes for the police department is at grade 16. The comparable officers for the firefighters in the police department run from grades 14 through grades 12. The second in command is 2 grades below the chief. As you can see from our proposal, the fire officers are doing the exact same thing. They are remaining 2 grades below the chief for the highest officers there. This matter has been batted around in committee and before the board and actually before the mayor for a number of years. And it is, we feel, time that these officers are given the same rights that I would like to read from the city personnel manual, the general provisions that were adopted in 1988. And the persons to be covered and the positions to be covered by the personnel manual and in using the step system were all employees, except elected officials, officials appointed by the mayor, other than department heads, and members of the boards and commissions, and other positions to which no compensation is being paid. These officers have not, the city, we feel, has not complied with the personnel manual since 1978 for these officers, and we think the city should. The longevity as a fire officer now is computed in an entirely different manner, and that's why you're seeing these variations. It was, as I say, it was based upon a dollar amount increase over the base first-year firefighter's salary. I think it's plus $85 for lieutenants, $105 for captains, and $125 for chiefs. And I may be wrong on those exact numbers, but that's how it's done. Plus longevity based at $2 per year after 10 years. So what the officers want to have happen is for them to be placed into the step system and receive the same benefits as every other city employee. You can also track, if you wish, the firefighters' union contract for those benefits. These officers, it doesn't matter to them which one you do, but it should be consistent so that these people are brought into line with every other city employee.
Alderman Zukowski.
With the explanation by Attorney Canning, I would move for the approval of the request of the fire officers as reflected by the sheet that he has distributed this evening. In making that motion, I do it knowing full well that we're talking about dollars, and specifically what we're talking about is over a period of 4 years, dollars in the amount of just under $30,000. I'm aware of that. I also am aware of the fact that we cannot carry money forward from year to year. But with this sort of a proposal, we do have the ability to hopefully budget for it. I think it's a fairness question as much as anything. And the only other thing that I would point out is that these, of course, don't reflect whatever general increases may also be afforded to city employees, if any, during this period of time, which would benefit them even more. So with that, I would move to approve it.
Motion been made and second. Alderman Caruso, then Alderman Gillum.
I just want to say I support the motion. In committee the other night, it's kind of rough here to understand the step system and the grade system and all that, but there is the issue of fairness. They need to. They're, what is it, the only people not in any step plan or any formal plan. The other thing is I commend them for having a 3 to 4 year workout plan, because this took 6 years to get into, and it's hard to pull out of this in a year or two, but I think it's a pretty fair plan, and it ends one little problem that we have, and that is getting them into a generalized system, and I support the motion.
Alderman Gillum, then Alderman Casarino.
Okay, 1995-96. That's this fiscal year. This is what they're getting at the present moment.
That is correct.
All right. So the system takes place in the next fiscal year.
It starts in the next fiscal year. That's correct.
Now, the $12 is how many years? 10 years? Then the $12 kicks in, the longevity?
Yes.
Then it's 50 cents per year after that.
That is
These are already in the numbers.
Those are already in the numbers.
Alderman Casarino.
Yeah, two things. One is a question, and you probably can ask Frank, but I'll ask you, John. On the grade, for example, if someone leaves or retires or whatever, and a new lieutenant comes in, he starts also on the first step of that grade level. Is that correct?
That would be my understanding. They would be on the starting grade, the starting step of that grade.
Right.
That is correct.
Okay. And the second thing is just a statement. I've been on this board 13 years. In 13 years, this has been kicking around. So it's finally good to come to some closure. And I really applaud you guys for what you brought in here and really putting it together instead of leaving it out here somewhere. Good job.
Alderman Dillon. Wendy?
After thinking about these numbers for almost a week and looking at them again tonight, I feel that I could support this proposal if the 98-99 increases as shown were moved up a year to 97-98, forget about that year where things stay flat, as long as any other increases were foregone during those 2 years. And then beginning in 98-99, pick up with the increases granted to all non-union employees at that time. Because essentially what it means is for 2 years in a row, first year they get a 4% increase over what they're making now, and then a 4.8% increase. Cost of living raises have been somewhere 3 to 5 in the last 10 years perhaps. So in a sense, they'd be getting that through there. It also would soften the blow to the city financially. And it gives them the benefit of moving up a little faster 1 year ahead.
Is that something the maker of the motion would accept as a friendly amendment or not, Frank?
It's an interesting thought. I guess I was curious to see what John has to say about it.
My first comment about that is one of the things that we're talking about is the city has created the grades and the steps. And those are the only numbers that we're allowed to work with. And we think every city employee is in that same grade, that same step, and that same dollar amount. Now, the unfortunate part is that these officers were not put in that with everybody else, including the police department. Now, they did not create that particular problem. So I think by now going through and moving numbers around and asking them to forego raises, you're going right back to the old system again, and they're now out of step with everybody else and will forever be out of step. I think you should we have stretched it out 3 years so the city's saving money, but let's get them onto the right line, the right steps, and be forever there. And you never have to worry about it again.
Well, one comment I would make, let's say in 1997, 98, there are no city raises for non-union employees. If we have this plan in place and the figures for 98, 99 are moved up, these guys will get an increase anyway. They'll get almost 5%.
I understand that. There may or may not be raises under the cost of living, but that's going to be for every city employee, non-union employee. And my clients, I think, say what's good for them is good for my clients.
You use an example, sums it up, the police department. There are 7 officers listed here. How many police officers are there in what you're equating to the step 11, 12, 13? Are there that many?
Yes.
Or is there 4 guys kicking around down there with police?
Sergeant, lieutenants, captains, assistant chief, and the chief.
Sergeant
Sergeant is considered an officer, yes.
Okay.
In fact, the sergeants will be equivalent to the police officers' lieutenants. They're the same in terms of rates of pay.
Other questions of the motion that's on the floor? Alderman Gillen.
One more thing to clarify here. In the 97, 98, what step are they in? Are they in the standard or maximum in that year?
The officers remain in standard except for officers west and Louis who have remained in maximum starting in 96, 97. In 97 and 98, they remain the same step.
Okay.
It's just 50
So when's
cents.
everybody moved to max and you moved
1998, 1999.
Okay.
And Bill, my suggestion was move those increases to everybody to maximum to 97, 98.
And forego other non-union pay raises during those 2 fiscal years. Accelerate this program for them so they get in there, get on the track, get to maximum in 2 years. And then the 3rd year, 1998, 99, would then pick up with the other non-union city increase if there is one.
Are the standard living increases automatic every year with the union contracts?
Not necessarily.
No.
We have
Still
one year
negotiate?
where That's why this other sheet is corrected. There was one year when some of those higher grade levels had no increase. You don't know what the future will bring.
Debate on the main motion. Any other debate on the motion on the floor?
Sorry, I had one question. I got a little bit confused when I started throwing out 1978 figures and that type of thing. Did you guys try to work in some kind of proactive increases into this when you worked your numbers? You said, I heard numbers 1978 when you were trying to justify the grades.
So that was the personnel manual that was adopted in 1978.
Okay, so what you're saying is when that was adopted in 78, these guys haven't had anything since then?
They've not been part of the step.
They've not been part of the step system. So there's been no, you guys are just trying to shift into the step system. You're not trying to recoup anything you lost since 1978.
That's correct.
Okay.
They've been getting the cost of living increases though, right?
It depends, some years yes,
Some years,
no.
so whatever the city decided that year, they got too. All right.
No, some years it was based on the union contract, other years it was based on the non-union contract.
So it's not consistent.
It was never been consistent.
2 years ago, you guys came in and you didn't get you hadn't got a raise. And that's what caused all the hullabaloo with the city employees. We gave you a raise because you had been left out, and then we had to go with the office people downstairs at Rosemary's office and the city treasurer. I remember. Right. And you guys were left out, and they were left out.
Alderman Bochamp.
You guys want to be tied in with the non-union, the step system, plus not the best, not the choice of the, but the non-union, whatever the pay raise.
Whatever the pay raise is for the non-union employees,
Okay.
that's what my clients would.
And if they get none,
They get none.
it's not.
We understand that.
Then they're not gonna come in and say, we didn't get it, nobody else. Okay, we got
That
it.
wasn't clear.
They still get the step system.
Okay, is everybody clear on the motion and ready to vote?
Roll call vote again, please.
Roll call vote's been requested. Clerk to call the vote.
Clifford?
Yes.
Loris?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Caruso?
Yes.
Bochamp?
Yes.
Casarino?
Yes.
Zattelski?
Yes.
Stafford?
Yes.
Wilton?
No.
Davis? Yes.
Motion passes 9-1.
Thank you very much.
Anything else, John?
Should I send a letter to the city attorney so that we can formalize this document? Would you like that? So that the department fire chief will know that, and the mayor will know that for the purposes of budgeting? What's supposed to happen next?
Well, I think we gotta wait 10 days, or 2 weeks.
I understand that.
I think as an action of the board, it's just like any other time the board sets salaries, and it takes effect, assuming that something doesn't come along and change it. But
It's a done deal, John, in other words.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Yep. Motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried.